Hello, hello, everybody. Let me get some lighting in here. Let's see. I'm using my laptop right now because my internet on this big computer, for some reason, it just doesn't work. Let me see. Maybe this will better the sound quality on this thing. Oof, hold on. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me well? Can you guys hear me? Just get this thing up a little bit. There we go. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I think this is. All right. So, hello, Rusty. Hello, Asbestos. Hello, Brainstormer. Fast Joe. Matt. Awesome. All right, let's do this. Just a little hazy. What's hazy? The voice or the camera? Hold on. How's that? Is that better? I think that's better. My dad is not available right now, so he's not here. Hello, John Juan. Hello, sister. Yes, I know. I missed Friday. It's just the camera. Okay. No, it's fine. I'm pretty certain it looks fine to me. I have the Burger King. I have the Burger King drive-through headpiece right now, so we're doing this way because the audio comes out better, I think. There's actually different modes on this thing. Yeah. But I guess this is fine. You gave up Theo for Lent. So yeah, upsize the fries. I spent my Friday pretty much trying to edit a video. I interviewed this Russian journalist on the situation in Donbass. She's been going in and out of Donbass for years, and I spoke with her, but she didn't speak a word of English. So I had to get somebody to translate it for me, and I had to get someone to translate while I did the interview, and then now I'm having to put subtitles in, and it's a pain in the ass. If this was like I've done subtitles for Arabic and for Spanish, and that's always easy because I can just go to my dad or I can ask my mom if it's Spanish. But this is in Russian. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I don't know anybody I don't know anybody in real life who speaks Russian. And Russian it's not like Spanish where I can sort of hear words and be like, okay, yeah, I know what that means. Okay, this subtitle goes here, this sentence goes here, blah 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 blah. Like I can pick it up. It doesn't take that long at all. With Russian, what I've done subtitles for Russian videos before, and it's such a different language. It's nothing like English. It's nothing like Spanish. It's well, I wouldn't say nothing. Of course, there's similarities that can be found, but it's worlds apart from English and Spanish. And for example, it can be a short sentence, a short English sentence that would take an English speaker 2 seconds to say. It takes a Russian 17 seconds. Like a Russian will be saying something, and I'll have my translator listen to it, and then he'll say, okay, she's saying this, or he's saying this. And the clip is 17 seconds. Like, okay, I have to put this subtitle in for 17 or like 8 seconds, 10. Like, how long does it take a person to say, yeah, I was there at night? And it's like 18 seconds. It's a different language. Or sometimes I'll have a long subtitle, a long English translation for a sentence or for a remark that takes a Russian 2 seconds to say. So it's just it's not easy. It's a pain in the ass, and so um yeah, it's a pain in the ass, guys. But I have my little Matryoshka doll. This was sent to me by somebody in Russia as a gift. But this is basically the same as a live stream, guys, a Friday live stream, except we're doing it on Sunday. This is not a change in schedule. We're going back to Friday this coming week, hopefully, God willing. But this is just a little change of plans here. But I've been looking a lot into Russian reports about what's happening in Ukraine. Of course, everybody wants you to believe BBC or CNN or the London Times or something. I think the British have this huge. I almost want to say monopoly on the media, on the international media. Like everybody loves BBC. I think CNN and BBC, those two are the biggest international media outlets. If I had to list the three biggest international media outlets, I would say CNN, BBC, RT. Those three are huge. They're huge. Fox News is just national. When I was living in Mexico, there was no Fox News. It was CNN or BBC. As far as English goes, CNN, BBC. That's what you had, and they had a Mexican CNN as well. I'm pretty certain of that. Wonka Stonka, hello. What's the topic? There is no topic. Does it sound like I have a topic? There's no topic here. Does it sound like I've planned for anything to talk about? I've been reading Russian media back and forth and looking at some international media. And just looking at what they have to report, and I find reports of rapes, I find reports of executions, I find reports of massacres, I find all sorts of crazy stuff. There was some Ukrainian soldier who said that all the Russian children in Donbass should be beheaded. Since when is no? I never. It's a RT is a big international media outlet. That's what I said. Since when is RT a major news source? Well, it's one of the biggest international media outlets on earth. They have RT Spanish, RT English. They have RT in all various different languages. Man, I don't want my breath being heard on this thing. It's so annoying when I hear that. International Television Network. Yeah, they have RT in Russian, English, Spanish, French, German, and Arabic. I mean, they are one of the biggest media outlets on the face of the earth. I know everybody hates them now because they're Russian. And they're paid by the Kremlin or something. But isn't BBC funded by British tax dollars? Pretty certain of that, right? Isn't correct me on this, guys? Isn't BBC just isn't it just like British government news? It's all paid by tax dollars, right? Yeah, it's all paid for by the British citizen. So I guess BBC is also British propaganda. How are the chickens doing? They're all alive. No chicken deaths, which is good. I'm getting like 8 or 9 eggs a day, which is pretty good. Most countries have a national TV channel. Oh, okay. That's true, actually. In America, we have something called PBS, and nobody gives a shit about it. So what's the Croatian? Is there a Croatian news network? What is it called? Like Balkan Insight or something? Hello, my Kiwi friend. I don't know how Mr. JCH. I'm just gonna call you Mr. Kiwi because New Zealanders are called Kiwis, right? I hope that's not an insult though. The British Baking Channel. Yes, absolutely. I was watching a video today of I was on Speaker's Corner in Ukraine, and Speaker's Corner in Ukraine. What's wrong with my memory? Speaker's Corner in Great Britain. In London, they have this place called Speaker's Corner. It's a big park, and everybody gets together, and people argue for hours. That's what it is. And sometimes I think maybe people have gotten stabbed. I've heard. I don't know, but people get together and they argue all day at this place. It's great. It's great entertainment. So it can be great entertainment. Now, if it's stuff about Islam, I don't really. I used to watch the Speaker's Corner debates on Islam, and you would have like. Some white guy arguing with some Egyptian dude or something, and those were entertaining at that time because Islam was like talking about Islam was such a trendy subject back in the early 2000s. After so many years of hearing about Islam, it's just become kind of like, okay, we've heard this a million times. It's what I do like talking about Islam only in the context of Islam being a heresy. I think that's fascinating, and Islam being rooted in the occult, paganism, Kabbalism. I find that stuff really fascinating. What I don't find fascinating is the EDL, English Defense League, soccer hooligan rhetoric about Islam. I have no interest in that type of talk because I find it to be kind of annoying. Muhammad was a pedophile. Meanwhile, people who talk like that, sometimes some of them are Catholics and they go to the Catholic Church and whatever. But hey, let's talk about some 1,000-year-old Arab dude who is dead somewhere in the desert. Yes, Muhammad was a pedophile, sure. 9-year-old Aisha, Surah 9. Find them, kill them wherever you find them. Incite fear, incite terror into the hearts of the enemy. Everybody loves to quote Surah 9 to prove that Islam is this inherently violent religion, which it is. But they don't want to read the whole chapter. If you keep reading on in that chapter that everybody reads, it actually talks about the Catholics and the Jews and how the Catholics and the Jews are the enemies. But these EDLers don't want to bring that up because they want Islam to be just like this evil, malignant force that just hates everything that's beautiful. But they don't want to talk about the fact that Islam is a heresy that sought out to destroy the Catholic Church. It sought out to destroy the Eastern Orthodox Church. That's why Muhammad said, first we will destroy Rome and then we'll take out Constantinople. Oh no, first Constantinople, then Rome. Muslims took out Constantinople. It's now Istanbul. But they tried to take Rome after that and they failed. Mehmet II, the Ottoman Sultan, said after he took over Constantinople, he said that now I shall go to St. Peter's Basilica and I shall make it into a stable for my horses. And if you've ever been to St. Peter's Basilica, you know that place is flipping huge. You could probably put like 2 malls in St. Peter's Basilica. You know, maybe you can put one giant mall in that thing, like a 5-story mall, 6-story mall, 7-story mall, maybe even more easily within that place. It's so huge. So I went to St. Peter's Basilica, and that brought a whole new meaning to what Mehmet imagined. I mean, this place is huge. I'm thinking this guy had to have had like 1,000 horses if he wanted to make this place into a horse stable. I would not. I mean, okay, I'm not going to go down. Well, I will go down this route. If I was Mehmet II, I wouldn't make Peter's Basilica into a horse stable. That is a waste of prime real estate. I would make that thing into a mansion. That's why if I was a Muslim and I had no principles and I didn't care about any of that stuff, I would make that place into a mansion because that place is humongous. But going back to Speaker's Corner, now they have people arguing about Ukraine. Of course, all of the Anglos are completely against Russia. For some reason, they hate Russia. I guess because I don't know why they're mad at Russia so much. I don't know why do British people hate Russia so much? They seem to hate it so damn much. Even though like England had a war with Napoleon, Russia destroyed Napoleon's empire, or pretty much stopped the French Empire from expanding. the British had a war with the Germans in World War One. They got help from the Russians, vice versa. World War Two, the same thing happened. I don't know why we hate each other so much. I don't know why America and England, America and the UK, they hate Russia so much. Like, man, Russia and America and the UK, they fought side by side in the most horrendous wars ever. It's just amazing that now they're all enemies. It's amazing to me how this works. It's like a really bad, um, it's like a really bad family squabble between brothers. You know, it's sad. It's sad to see it. Um, but I saw this video. Some Ukrainian guy who calls himself Pavlov. I don't know what his full name is, or his real name, for that matter. He is arguing for the Ukrainian side, and he was arguing against other people. There were some Muslim people that were arguing in favor of Russia, which I find interesting. And there was some Eastern European guy. I don't know if he was Russian or he could have been Serbian. He looked definitely Slavic, and his accent was very Slavic. But this guy was arguing in favor for Russia, and somebody brought up Stepan Bandera, about how the Ukrainians revere Bandera, and Bandera was a fascist, and Ukraine reveres Bandera, so therefore Ukraine is a fascist state. And the Ukrainian guy, Mr. Pavlov, he sort of laughed this off, and he said that this is all nonsense because Bandera was not who they said he was. Bandera was a man who fought the Nazis, and he ended up in prison. The Germans put him in prison, and he eventually died in captivity. So therefore, Bandera was not a Nazi. He completely ignored, and then he minimizes really the OUN's role in the massacre of the Polish people, and he said, well, some followers of Bandera killed those people in Poland, and blah blah blah. Some did. Some. Well, what is some? You know, and no one really. And this is what I always find. This is what I always found interesting when people start getting into debates. You know, they say things like, well, some people did that, and some. Okay, what is some? Define some. Um, if you bring, and I say this, I've said this so many times. If you bring up a specific, somebody brings up a generalization, and that's what this guy did. Somebody brought up a specific. Okay, Stepan Bandera. He began to generalize things. Some people got involved. It's very vague. It's very general. It's a broad. It's not really a. It's just a vague answer. It's like there's nothing to sink your teeth into. And what I would ask these people is, okay, define some. What are we talking about here? Because there were thousands of Ukrainians who were involved in killing Polish people. There were mobs that were involved. 100,000 Polish people were killed. I mean, it takes a lot of people to kill that many people. It takes a lot of thugs to kill that many people. So it's yeah. And they always want to sit there and focus on Bandera, you know, because Bandera is kind of easy to defend. In a way, he's easy to defend because and in the English language, and I'll have to search this in Russian or Polish to get a better answer, but in the English language, the Google search results on Bandera's role in the massacre is nil. There's not. I couldn't find anything. Now, the guy that was arguing in favor for the Ukrainian narrative, he said that Bandera was in prison. Bandera was put in prison in, I want to say, June or July of 1942. But there were already talks about removing the Poles years before that. For example, in May of 1942, in the 1920s, there was a lot of talk by the OUN, the UPA, the Ukrainian, what's the UPA stand for? Ukrainian National Army or something, I don't remember. But there was a lot of talk amongst these people about removing the Poles. It wasn't just Bandera. This was bigger than Bandera. And interestingly enough, they always bring up Bandera, and I think it's because, like I said, he's easy to defend. But they never bring up they never bring up Andrei Melnik. They never bring up Roman. I can never say this guy Shuktovich. I can never say his last name correctly. Um, they never bring this stuff up. There's another one. What was his name? Yellen Konovalets. His last name was Konovalets. I forget his first name. But they never bring up these guys that were explicitly involved in the killing. The arguments of the Ukrainian nationalists in minimizing the atrocities is identical to the form of argumentation done by Turkish nationalists when they try to completely refute the Armenian genocide. They say, well, there's no direct connection to the Young Turks. There is no direct order to kill Armenians by the Young Turks. German nationalists, white supremacists, they do the same thing for Adolf Hitler. There's no direct order from Adolf Hitler. And it's like, yeah, you guys are acting as if these guys were just stupid criminals. These guys were very intelligent people, very calculative. They're not going to put in an order to kill people with their freaking name on it. What criminal? I mean, give me one very intelligent criminal that's going to just do his best to leave his fingerprints on a crime. That's not what criminals do. The Young Turks played the same game. They didn't put any direct order. They never put their name on any order to kill anybody because they knew that they knew that killing people was going to be is a crime, and they don't want to criminalize themselves. They don't want to expose themselves. Nazi scientists who did experiments on people, they also tried to hide their stuff because when they wrote the reports on their experiments, they didn't say, oh yeah, we got 5 Jews and we skinned them alive. No, they said, yeah, we got some pigs, we got some farm animals, and we did this experiment. The Japanese played a similar game. They would do experiments on people, the Unit 731. Then they would say, oh, we put some we cut down 4 logs or something like that. They would never say human. They would say logs, like as if they were cutting trees. So they all utilized code talk. I don't see how I don't see how pointing out that someone's name is not an order to kill people is all of a sudden evidence that proves that there was no atrocity committed. Anyway. What's a simple breakdown of Yemen? As far as I know, Houthis backed by Iran want to overthrow the government in Yemen, or they wanted to overthrow the government in Yemen backed by Saudi Arabia. So there was a war, and Saudi Arabia sent soldiers into Yemen to back the government that Saudi supports. It's basically just kind of like a proxy war. Happy Easter, Zakhar Mitchev. Yes, I know, Eastern Orthodox or Easter. HRT, Croatian Radio Television. Interesting. Plant anything new for the spring? Yes, I have eggplants growing. They're still small. Peppers. Okra is growing. Basil. Lots of basil this year. Love basil. Beets. Lots of beets. What else? We have Jamaican callaloo or amaranth leaves. I have those growing. And I didn't even plant the amaranth, by the way. It all came by themselves. All the amaranth came by volunteer seed, which is amazing. I love it when you can grow something and then every year you can expect it to pop out as a weed. I love that because it takes no work. Those plants are 100% adapted to your garden, to your landscape, and it becomes a permanent part of your garden. It's permaculture. That's what permaculture is about. I planted 3 more persimmon trees. I planted 2 jujubes. I have 2 more jujubes coming. I'm gonna plant 2 more jujube trees. What else? What else am I growing? I have 2 cherry tomato plants that I planted just to get some tomatoes. Harvested most of my burdock. And yeah, got a lot of burdock root, which is very good. Burdock is a root vegetable that it comes from Asia really, but Europeans have had it for a very long time as well. But in Asia, in Japan, they call it gojo or gobo, and they cut it very, very thinly, and they cook it. They stir fry it. Burdock is one of those vegetables that you can't really eat raw. You can't. It's just too woody. You have to cook it. Once you cook it, it turns tender. But when you try to eat it raw like a carrot, you can't do that. You can't do that with you can't do that with burdock. When I read an experiment was performed using small animals, I always suspect it means small human. I mean, that's another thing. Like we have atrocities like that happening today. We had the Planned Parenthood situation, and um, David Daladin, he went into a Planned Parenthood. He had several meetings with some Planned Parenthood employees, and he was acting as if he was interested in buying body parts from aborted fetuses, and they were like, yeah, the price of this is this, and the price of these parts, and blah 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 blah. And he exposed everything. He exposed the whole damn thing. And what happened is Planned Parenthood just came along and said, no, that never happened. It's all bullshit. It's all lie. These tapes were heavily edited, and it's like, well, okay, they were edited, fine, but what these Planned Parenthood officials are saying is damning. I mean, who sits there and talks about the price of like lungs and stuff? Oh, it was taken out of context. What was it, a joke? What? It's a big joke, right? Like, in what context is that appropriate? I don't know. It's just a bunch of gaslighting. They just gaslight everybody. Say, oh no, that didn't happen. That's bullshit. Blah blah blah. Blah. Oh no, that didn't happen. Oh no. It's like they were selling body parts to they were selling body parts to laboratories. And a lot of those body parts, for example, there was this one lab, I forget the name of it, but they were buying body parts from Planned Parenthood, and then they were in turn sending little preserved fetuses to Europe, to big scientific institutions like the Max Planck Institute. And the Max Planck Institute goes all the way back to the Third Reich. I mean, they were scientists for the Third Reich that were doing experiments, and they were in the Max Planck Institute. They would later be in the Max Planck Institute after the Second World War. They were Nazis who committed crimes, scientific crimes, human experimentation, and they would later be in the Max Planck Institute after the Second World War. And it's this same Max Planck Institute that uses aborted fetuses for scientific research. There are still atrocities being done today, and there are people who make it their job to deny them. From Baton Rouge, hello there. Where did you source your burdock? If you're asking where I got my seeds, I got them online on Amazon. You can buy a lot of burdocks cheap on Amazon. You can get for one thing, burdock. Hello. Okay, guys, there was some weird. Okay, internet's still working. There was something weird. The screen went black. Max Planck Institute, aren't they located in Maryland? I wouldn't be surprised if they have branches, but they are headquartered in Germany. That's where they're headquartered. They also have branches in Sweden, different parts of Europe. It's good now. Okay. So somebody asked me about burdock. You can get your seeds online. The thing about burdock, when you plant it, it's a very invasive species, which is good. I don't mind it. I love invasive plants that are edible because more plants, free food from God. Um, uh, Burdock root, you plant the seeds and you let it grow. You don't have to space them out that much, although if you want really big roots, you're going to have to space them out. And the thing about burdock is that they're kind of a pain to harvest. If it's not like a beet or a carrot or a turnip or a radish that you can just, you know, I hit my computer. It's not like those common vegetables like beets or carrots that you can just pluck right out of the ground. Burdock root, you have to use a shovel or a pitchfork to get it out. You have to stick the shovel next to the root and leverage it up and pull it out because those roots are very, very strong. Great thing about burdock is that it has no pests. Literally, there are no pests. There's nothing that kills burdock. The only thing that will kill burdock, the only thing that will kill burdock is your own negligence. That's the only thing that's going to kill it. Or yeah, you're not watering your plants. Now, if you have a burdock plant, yeah, pretty much. Or if you have like a really, really cold, dry wind, the leaves will get windburned. Last year I had a problem like that where I had leaves, burdock leaves that were wild. These weren't even plants that I put in there from seed. These were plants that were volunteers, and they got hit. We had a really, really dry wind one night. No rain. It was just super dry, high velocity, like 40-mile-per-hour winds. And the next day, the leaves were all windburned. They were all yellow and they were wrinkly and they're miserable looking. And those leaves died. But I let them. I didn't do anything, and in no time, leaves started coming up from the roots, and I just allowed them to grow, and they came back up, and I eventually harvested those roots. So burdock really doesn't die. There are people online who complain about burdock root ruining their lawns, but those people are just lawn cucks, and we don't really have to take them seriously. I've seen people kill online. They do video tutorials on how to kill burdock root. They take boiled water and they pour it on the root and they kill the root, which is just evil. Planticide, I think, must come to an end. There's a lot of plant discrimination that has been going on, where Bermuda and Augustine and these inferior plants have been placed above the plants that actually have use and actually have purpose. I mean, grass has its place. It can be used to feed livestock, but to use grass as an aesthetic at the cost of plants that actually can be eaten, I think is insanity. But yes, burdock is very easy to grow, and once you grow burdock, I'll always allow at least, I would say, 2 or 3 plants to stay alive, because those plants will flower and then they will quickly go to seed. And burdock seeds are very easy to save. You simply just wait for them to dry out, and then you can shake the seeds off and you get plenty of seed. It's like eggplant. Once you grow your own eggplant, it's kind of hard to stop preserving your own seed, because eggplant seed is so easy to save. It's so easy to save. All you really need is one eggplant from a plant, and you have enough seeds to fill in a whole little Ziploc bag. Yeah. Killing poisonous plants? I don't know. I don't know what kind of poisonous plants you have. Don't you just love, yeah, bomb-proof plants? Absolutely. Burdock is a plant that just doesn't die. Insects don't touch it. Bacteria doesn't touch it. There are no viral issues. The only issues that you're going to have with burdock is weather. You can have very high dry winds that can damage the leaves, or you can if you can have very, very hot weather that can sunburn the leaves as well. But again, ultimately, that's not going to kill the plant. The new leaves will just come up. It doesn't hurt to plant burdock in a semi-shady spot. I have done that, and it does a much better job. Planting burdock in full sun is okay if you're planting it for really early in the spring, or if you have mild winters, if you're planting it in the fall where you can get a harvest in the winter, because burdock is also very cold tolerant. Just as long as you plant your seeds in the fall when it's not too cold. If it's too cold, the seeds will not germinate. But if you want to have a harvest in wintertime, plant your seeds early in the fall when the temperatures are still moderate, not too cold, not too warm, just right in the middle, and they will germinate and grow very well, unless you have like a really bad windstorm. And yeah, and just you can do a winter harvest. If you want to do a late spring harvest, then because yeah, late spring harvest or early summer harvest, you can plant your burdock early in the spring. If you have moderate winters, you can plant your burdock seeds in the late winter period when it starts warming up a little bit, and you can put the seeds there, and then you can do a harvest, which is what I did. I planted my seeds late in the winter when it was warming up a little bit, and then just did a whole harvest of most of my burdock, and that's what you can do. Yeah, that's it. You know, it's burdock. Burdock is flavor-wise, burdock is terrible raw. It tastes okay if you cook it. Flavor-wise, there's really nothing special about burdock. What flavor-wise, most definitely, it is inferior to something like a carrot or a beet or even a turnip. But endurance-wise, nothing can really beat burdock. Burdock can endure through pretty much anything. So somebody asked me about grass and its lies. Somebody asked me a question here. Hello, Ted. Are you opposed to researching serial killers? I think a lot of people wonder about how does a Ted Bundy type of monster get developed. It's not to diminish the horror of murder. Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so here's a little something about myself. I have researched serial killers, right? I mean, as you can tell, I've done a whole bunch of videos on serial killers, but I did that in light of why we need the death penalty. We most definitely need the death penalty. Yeah. So the reason why I research serial killers is to show why we need the death penalty, because the severity of the crime justifies the punishment, and it's proportionate to the punishment. I used to read about serial killers because I was, like you said, I was interested in knowing how they come up. When somebody tells me that they're interested in that, I will at times question what they say. I think a lot of it is just a morbid curiosity. Yeah, morbid curiosity. Some people have a weird fascination with that stuff, and a lot of women have an attraction to that sort of thing, which is kind of a mystery to me. Again, I also question that type of justification, because have we actually prevented any sort of serial killers from forming? Have we prevented anybody from deciding to become a serial killer because of this research? I don't really see the purpose in making a huge industry out of talking about serial killers, because that's what we have done. True crime novels, I think, are the most popular type of novel. If not, they're probably second to fantasy novels like, I don't know, Killing Dragons or something. There are more people buying books on crime than there are people buying books on politics and religion and philosophy. So it's an industry. It's a money-making industry, and I think that is really the reason why they produce media material on serial killers. I don't think it has anything to do with trying to find out how somebody or why somebody becomes a serial killer. Now, if the motivation was purely wanting to understand why people become serial killers, I think that such a subject of investigation should be confined to a small number of researchers and maybe sociologists who want to get to the bottom of this question. Why does somebody become a serial killer? And that type of inquiry should be confined to the university. I don't think we should leave that up to women in their 30s who want to read about Ted Bundy while they drink their coffee. I don't think that's very helpful at all. So curried burdock would, yes, most definitely. I mean, there's different ways you could do burdock. Burdock is a vegetable that you have to cook, right? I mean, I don't see how you could eat burdock raw. I've tried it. It's very woody. It's one of those vegetables that are woody when raw, but very tender when cooked. I like to either stir fry burdock for a good 10 minutes on a wok with and what I do is I just heat up a wok or a frying pan and I cut the burdock very thin. You want to julienne the burdock root, and then you just put it on the frying pan and you move it around. Once you start seeing some of the little julienne strips of burdock getting some color, a little golden color, I add the garlic and the ginger, and then I add some chili to it, and then I add a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of alcohol. It could be sake, it could be sherry wine, or I just use Chinese cooking wine. It's probably some rice wine stuff, and that's it. And I allow the alcohol to evaporate. And once the soy sauce and the alcohol and that once that thickens and the alcohol goes away, then you just serve it up and eat it. You can also add a little bit of oyster sauce to it, which is excellent. Yeah. Human dignity, human dignity. Yeah, but curried burdock would be fine. I mean, you can stir fry it for a little bit on a wok, and then you add garlic and chili and ginger to it, and then you can add a little bit of you can add like a can of coconut milk and whatever curry powder you want, maybe a little fish sauce. Finish it off with a little bit of basil leaves, Thai basil leaves, or even just regular Italian basil will work just fine, and then serve it on some rice. Yeah, the sky's the limit. I mean, Disney has gone full Sodom. Well, stop watching Disney. You know, people say, "Oh, look, Disney has gone gay." I mean, yeah, you're right. It's absolutely evil, but stop watching it. I mean, if everybody stopped watching Disney, then Disney would change. But apparently people don't really care all that much. Because if they did, then Disney would change, but they're not. So the thing is that I remember, I think it was what, TLC. It was one of those channels. They they had a reality TV show about a Muslim family, and people went crazy over this issue, and they just canceled the show overnight because enough people got outraged about that. So I think if enough people got outraged about something, they would probably get rid of it. But I don't watch that nonsense. I haven't watched Disney channels since they had what, Smart Guy. I remember that show, Smart Guy. I used to watch that every day. That's the last time the last time I actually watched Disney Channel was when I was in high school watching, was it high school? Yeah, I think it was high school. Not even that. I was like forget it. The last time I was watching Disney Channel was when I was in junior high and I was watching Smart Guy. That was it. I wasn't watching any Smart Guy, and I watched It's a Boy Meets World, Boy Meets World. I was watching that nonsense. Topanga, remember Topanga, Corey? That was my Disney Channel. I stopped watching it pretty much when I got into high school because when I was in high school, I got a lot, and I kind of stopped watching TV in high school. I got very much into I got very much into the internet. I got a lot into forums. Um, the only television that I watched as a freshman in high school was video game stuff. I watched, well, no, I watched, yeah, pretty much. I was watching G4 TV, which was a whole station dedicated to video games. I loved watching shows on video games, and E3, the big E3 awards. And then I watched, what was it? I watched Jon Stewart, Conan O'Brien. Yes, believe it or not, I used to watch these shows almost every single day. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was a big thing. And then, what else? That was pretty much it, actually. Oh yeah, King of the Hill. I used to watch King of the Hill. I found it to be a very entertaining show. And that was it. That was it. That explains a lot. Your Presbyterian friend got confirmed in the Catholic Church. He was between Orthodox and Catholic, but Thomistic theology matched with what he believed most. Okay. Cotton Hill. I don't know who Tadek Filipovich is. Who's Tarek Filipovich? Oh, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Oh, he was in that. Oh, he's in the Croatian Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I didn't know they had a Croatian version. That's crazy. No, I was. Yeah, no, we have, of course. Yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah. Why did you choose Catholicism over Orthodoxy? Goodness, what a question. So when I was researching, you know what? Why not? Because I'm using StreamYard. Okay, so I switched from the paid version of StreamYard to the free version, so I'm limited to how long I can actually be here. I got about 4 hours a month that I'm allowed to use StreamYard, so I don't like to use it too much. But because my dad didn't do a live stream, I didn't do one. We have a good amount of time. Who wants to do call-ins? Who wants to do a call-in thing? And then, so somebody tell me, okay, they want to talk, and then I'll give you the link, and then we can talk. But anyway, yeah, answering your question. When I was first studying the Church Fathers, I read Tertullian and I read, what's his name? Who was the guy who wrote a book? He wrote about on heretics. I don't remember his name. Irenaeus of Lyon. So I read Irenaeus of Lyon and I read Tertullian. And both of these writers affirm the authority of the Roman Church. They say that the church is headquartered in Rome, and that's the way it is. So I was sold when I read that. I was sold. And I decided I'm joining Rome. That's pretty much what it came down to, guys. I didn't understand why the Orthodox were not under Roman primacy because I thought, well, Tertullian and Irenaeus of Lyon, and there were other, St. Augustine, like there were all these church fathers that affirm the authority of Rome. But the thing is that authority should not be based on just a geographic position. A geographic location does not mean a geographic location does not signify theological authority. It's a geographic location. Jerusalem is a geographic location. God chose Jerusalem. He said, okay, this is the city, you have the temple, etc., etc. But amazingly, God destroyed the temple. Why? Because theological truth and moral principle is not determined by a geographic location. What determines the authority of a geographic location is the truth that comes out of it, that comes out of its institutions. But the geographic location unto itself does not justify its own authority. So everyone says, well, it's in Rome, it's in Rome, it's in Rome, but Rome, the Roman Church is full of Sodom. The Roman Church appeals to Sodom. The Roman Church tries to defend horrendous mass murderers by saying that they should not be put to death because human dignity. The Roman Church bought property in an apartment complex in Italy that has the biggest gay bathhouse in all of Europe, as if they couldn't buy any other property except that one. Although it's not the property of the Vatican anymore. The fact is that years ago, back in 2015, 2016, the Vatican did this. All of these things really send out red flags. So, but the reason why I went to Rome was because of that. I thought, well, Rome was the original, and then the Orthodox split. But then I see the Orthodox and how the Russian Orthodox are fighting against Sodom, and they still uphold the death penalty. And I see that, and I'm like, wow, that's the light that's being radiated from that institution. Yes, I think the Orthodox do believe that, Olivia. Also, the Temple of God destroyed at that time did not have the real presence in it. Yeah, but nonetheless, it was considered to be the institution, right? At one point it did, though. At one point it did. It had the Shekinah glory, had the Ark of the Covenant, had all that stuff. And the Ark of the Covenant was the house of God. The AIDS rate in Russia, I think, is horrendously exaggerated. The United States has way higher AIDS rates than Russia does. You want to repopulate Ukraine with Jews from Israel. I mean, until I see it happening, I don't know. I'm not gonna jump. I'm not gonna jump because of that. I'll take a look at it though. I'll watch it. Relax. Don't worry. I don't have to watch it now. You gotta watch it. Yes. Now. Watch it. Damn it. No. Relax. Okay. I'll watch it. Don't worry about it. But anyway. Let's see. What else did you guys write? Beets are my favorite and so good for you. They're very good for you. Did you watch the boxing last night? No, I did not. Who won? Was it that Gypsy guy or was it the who won? Was it Gypsy King? I don't even know who won. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, okay. So Gypsy King won. Well, that's what I was expecting. That guy's very good. I mean, he's just huge. Like, there's some guys that you can never beat. There are some guys that you just can't beat in fighting. I remember when I was in martial arts. we used to fight in the school. We used to do sparring, and I had a teacher that told us, he said, no matter how hard you train, there are guys out there that will always kick your ass. Doesn't matter how hard you train, doesn't matter how agile you are, doesn't matter. You will always lose to those guys because they are just genetically more capable of destroying people at your size than you are destroying them, than you are defeating them. He said you could be a 120-pound martial arts master. You can kick, you can do the splits, you can punch real fast, you're very fit, but you'll never beat Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal will always kick your ass. Shekinah is not a real word. Glory of God. Okay. Thank you for the correction. You just listened to Ted Bundy's last interview? I watched that interview like over a decade ago with what was it called? Family, Focus on the Family. Yes, yes, Tyson Fury has a genetic advantage over his opponents. He is ginormous. Regardless of the fact that he has a lot of body fat for an athlete, he doesn't really look like your ideal athlete. He doesn't have the optics of an athlete. Although he kicked Klitschko's ass, and Klitschko was a specimen of athleticism, an exemplary specimen of high level athleticism, and he lost to Tyson Fury. Um, uh, the other guy that he beat, what's his name? The bronze hunt. What was his name? I forget his name. Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder looks way more athletic than Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury is a guy who works very hard. He trains very hard, and yet he still probably, eats a lot of high-fat foods, and that's why he looks the way he looks. But he's huge. He's just a big, big man, and he eats a lot. I mean, big people who are genetically just big, they eat a lot of food, and that's why they look the way they do. But they can punch you and they can kill you. So, yeah, there you have it. It's not all about training. Of course, is 100% essential if you're going to be in boxing. But just because you train really hard doesn't mean you're going to beat everybody who doesn't train. You can fight a guy who doesn't train and he's just bigger than you, and you can hit him a bunch of times, but you can't knock him out. Now, if you have a fight between a guy who's trained versus a guy who's not trained, I would say 9 out of 10 times the trained fighter is going to win. Even if the untrained fighter is bigger, 9 out of 10 times the trained guy is going to win. Because very rarely do you see somebody as big as Tyson Fury. If you ever get into a fight, the chances are the chance of you fighting somebody as big as Tyson Fury is pretty slim. But the chances of you fighting somebody who's your size, or maybe a little bit shorter than you, or maybe a little bit bigger than you, is very high. And so if you're fighting a guy who's a little bit bigger than you, and he's not trained, but you're trained, you have a higher advantage than that person does. So yeah, that's the way I look at things. Yeah, one thing I learned very quickly in 2009, 2010, I sparred with a guy who was he was a big Mexican guy. He was over 300 pounds, and he boxed as an amateur, and he was also a black belt in Taekwondo. And you think of an overweight man who's 300 pounds, who has a black belt in Taekwondo, and he trained in boxing, and he has huge forearms. You think, well, how dangerous can he be? He's probably slow. He'll probably run out of breath. But that wasn't the case. The case was he was shorter than me, and he didn't really have to duck that low, and he simply would just make a simple duck, and he did a very sharp hook to my right rib cage, and it was extremely painful. And the next day, I couldn't really move without feeling excruciating pain in my right rib cage. Couldn't cough without feeling pain, couldn't laugh without feeling pain, couldn't get out of bed without feeling pain, couldn't go to bed without feeling pain. And I was out of commission for about a month. So here was a guy, and I was in much better shape than he was at the time. I mean, I don't look at me, but I'm not in good shape right now. But at that time, I was in very good shape. I was in better shape than he was, but because he had the experience and he had the girth and he had this huge forearms. Forearms can do a lot of damage. Uh, and he had experience. You know, he trained in boxing. He was a black belt in Taekwondo. He knew how to kick. Even though he couldn't kick that high, he could kick your ribs, and I got a few of those as well. And it was brutal. I got my ass kicked by this guy. I got my ass kicked by an obese Mexican guy, and it wasn't embarrassing. I mean, it is what it is. But it was painful, very painful experience. Fighting someone shorter most definitely is difficult. Yes. In fact, when I see a guy, like when I was in training, if I saw a guy who was taller than me, I wasn't as intimidated than I was when I saw a guy shorter than me. Shorter guys are more intimidating because they're lower than you. So it doesn't take that much for them to give you a good body shot, or to go low and then high to your face, or to kick you in the ribs, or just to go down for a simple single leg and take you down. Yeah, shorter guys. Now, if you see a shorter guy who's like 120 pounds, I'm not too worried. But if you see a guy who's shorter than you and he looks like he's built to be a bouncer, those guys are dangerous. They can do a lot of damage on you. But yeah, that was my experience in fighting. I think fighting is it's very dangerous. Going to a boxing gym, or I've never been to a boxing gym. I went to a Taekwondo kickboxing gym. I trained there for a couple of years, and then I trained at a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym for a little bit. And one thing I will say is, when you join any sort of contact sport, combat sport, be it wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, whatever, you're paying money to the school. And this is what kind of sucks about it's a good thing, but at the same time it has a dark side, and this is what sucks about going into martial arts, is you're paying for a service, but at the same time you're putting yourself at risk. You're putting yourself at risk for paying for a service in which you are in a pecking order. So it's not like, oh, I'm gonna hire somebody to teach me a different language, right? If I hired somebody to teach me a different language and I paid them, I don't know, $100 a month or something, right? And then we had classes 5 days a week, which is a pretty good deal actually. And they would simply come to my house, or I would go to their office, and we would sit down for an hour every day, and we would learn that language. And that person would say, okay, this is the vowels, this is the sounds, the conjugation, past tense, present tense, whatever, future tense. You're paying for a service. When you join any sort of contact sport, you are putting yourself at risk for entering a toxic environment, because it's a contact sport. People get hit. And when people get hit, I don't care how detached you try to be from the environment. I don't care how much you say you put your ego at the door. When people are getting hit in a room, people will take things personal. They will. You get hit in the nose, people take that shit personally. And you are in a ego-riddled environment. Now, if you have a good instructor, that instructor is going to make sure to keep that stuff on a down low and to moderate the situation. But many times you don't have that, and in many cases the teacher will not only ignore abuse, but he will also participate in it as well, and you have abuse in martial arts schools. And this is the big problem that I have with joining schools. You have to be very careful about what school you join. You have to be very careful, because abuse does happen. And by abuse, I don't mean sexual abuse, although that does happen. I'm talking about physical abuse, where you have guys who are clearly more experienced than somebody who's new, and they know that, and they abuse their position. They know this guy is 125 pounds or 130 pounds. He has no training. He's out of shape, and they poke his eye, and that happens. Trust me, I know from just experience. They'll poke people's eyes. They'll smack somebody. They'll smack a new student. They'll kick the guy in the ribs really hard and bust his ribs and put him out of commission. Like, I have seen these things. I've seen them. I've seen abuse in martial arts, and that's the thing. It's not like, and that's what sucks about it, because you're paying for a service, right? You're going there. You're paying $50. Well, I was paying $50 a month, which was a very good deal, although that came with another price, which was my ribs. But most of the time you go into a martial arts school, you're paying $100 a month, $200 even sometimes, depending on the location that you're in. And you're paying for a service. And you think, okay, I'm paying for a service, therefore I should be treated with the respect that I deserve as a customer. And there should be mutual trust between the student and the coach, because the student is not experienced, he's not in shape, and therefore the coach could kick his ass, could beat him up. The coach could rough him up a little bit and bully him. Coach could do all that stuff because the coach is more experienced. Or another student who's more experienced could do all those things to a newbie as well. But if there is mutual respect, then that should not happen. But it does happen. So it's like, I'm paying for a service. Yeah, you are, but you're also in a pecking order. And coach is also going to have favoritism. And people are going to get hit, and they're going to take that stuff seriously, and they're going to try to hurt you then when the next sparring session comes around. Like, there's a lot of that shit, dude. Martial arts schools are breeding grounds for toxic people. It's almost like, and it can become like a cult. So you have to be very careful. I don't know how it is in boxing. Boxing is, I don't know. I've never been to a boxing gym. But I can tell you right now, in jiu-jitsu, in taekwondo, I saw firsthand, abuse, physical abuse. And I think one day I'll sit down and just do a whole video on my experience in martial arts, and it'll have nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with Russia, geopolitics, anything like that. It's just going to be about why you should be very careful before joining a martial arts school. The Karate Kid movie was very accurate, actually, to answer your question, Rusty. When I first saw the Karate Kid, I thought it was just kind of like a meme, like, okay, he's the bad instructor and blah, blah, blah. What I will say is it can actually be worse in a way. It can be worse, actually, in some ways than the Karate Kid, because when you go into a school, the chances of you seeing a teacher saying things like water is for the weak and all that, I mean, that doesn't really happen in martial arts. Although when I was in wrestling in high school, I did a little bit of wrestling. I was very, very lousy, so don't take me up to it. I was a very lousy wrestler. I was a horrible wrestler. I didn't win a single match, so, and I'm not afraid to say that. It's the damn truth. I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh yeah, I was a varsity jock. No, no, I sucked at wrestling. But that was in wrestling. When I was in high school wrestling, that's a different beast altogether, because in high school wrestling, you're not paying for a service, because that shit's free. So the abuse is probably much more accessible in wrestling, I think. Maybe things have changed now. But when I was doing wrestling in the Bay Area in California, I remember the coach would scream, oh, I want some water. No water! Nothing! No water! And we had 3 coaches. We had the head coach. We had the assistant coach who did most of the coaching. He looked like Mario from the game. Short little guy with a mustache. Looked just like Mario. And then we had a third coach who was an Iraq war veteran. And this guy looked like Jocko Willink. If you've ever seen Jocko Willink, I'm pretty sure you guys know who I'm talking about, right? This guy looked almost exactly like Jocko Willink. He had the same body. I think the only difference was that this guy had a lot of tattoos. But this guy was an Iraq war vet. And I wouldn't say, I don't know if the guy was an evil person, but he treated the room like a military base. And he would scream at everybody as if he was a drill sergeant. and he would say things to you like, "Come on, you bitch, run faster, dang it, you bitch, you little bitch," and he would say things like that, and it was completely acceptable because it's a public education. What, they're paid by tax dollars? I mean, you're not paying for a service, right? Um, but when you go to a school, right, you're a 35-year-old male, 40-year-old male, and you go to a school, and you say, okay, I'm going to sign this agreement. I'm going to pay. And by the way, when you join a martial arts school, never sign an agreement. Never sign an agreement. Only pay month to month. And they will always try to screw you. They'll say, oh, we can do a 1-year contract. That's how all martial arts schools do this. I can't think of one that hasn't done this. They'll say, well, we can do a 1-year contract, and you'll be paying this much money every month, right? $100, whatever, $120 or whatever a month. And they do this to you because if you quit, they can still get a bunch of money out of you even after you quit. So let's say you do a 1-year contract, you quit after 6 months because the teacher's an asshole, they're still going to get 6 months of pay out of you. Don't ever do that. That's how they screw you. Always say, I want to pay month to month. Always. And if they say they can't do that, leave. They're lying to you. They are lying to you. Every single one of them can do month to month. Always do month to month. Say, no, I want to do month to month. That way you can quit and you can leave and you don't pay them shit. But when you go to a school and you say, okay, I'm agreeing to pay you this much money every month for this service, and they bully you, and you see them bullying other people, that is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And I've seen abuse in I mean, yeah, isn't it weird that I do videos on politics and then when I do a live stream, I'm not even talking about this stuff? The thing about the Karate Kid is, in real life, now when I was in public education, it was like the Karate Kid, but that was public education. It's a government service. They don't owe you shit. But when you go to a school and you're paying money, the abuse, if there is abuse, if there's an abusive coach or whatever, the abuse is going to be more subtle. It's not going to be like water is for the weak, or they're not going to do that to you. If you say, hey, coach, I'm going to get some water, they're not going to stop you because you're paying for a service. And if you drop on the floor because of dehydration, that's on them. Like they don't want that happening in their school. So they'll let you drink, they'll let you take a bathroom break, they'll let you sit down if you want. Like, they're not going to stop you. Like, I've never seen a martial arts teacher say, no breaks, keep going. I've never seen that before. Well, one time I did. That's a different story, though. The abuse is going to be more subtle. The way that it works is a coach is going to come up to you and say something. Let's say a coach doesn't like you for some reason, right? You rubbed them the wrong way. You said something that pissed. And this does happen. You may say something to the coach that in your mind was completely innocent. You meant nothing by it, but the coach took it as a spite from you. I've seen this before. I'm telling you, one day I'm going to do a video explaining all my experiences in martial arts. The coach will come up to you and say, hey, buddy, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm doing well. Oh, great, man. Like, I saw you today hitting the bag. You're doing really well. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, your punches are getting faster. Oh, yeah, you're getting more flexible. I see you're doing the splits now. Wow, man, that's awesome. Yeah, coach. Thanks, man. Hey, buddy, how about you and I like do a little sparring? Great. Put the gloves on. You put your mouthpieces on. And he's in the beginning, he's whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then, boom, spinning back kick to the liver. Or a knee to the ribs. Hits you in the pancreas. That sort of thing. And then you drop in excruciating pain, because you will be feeling excruciating pain, because the coach literally just hits you with 2,000 pounds of force. Not 2,000, maybe like 500 pounds of force or something like that on your ribs, and it's very painful. And you're on the floor, and the coach is like, "Oh, you okay, man? Oh, man, you okay? Oh, man, go rest. Go sit down, man. Go sit down. Have some water. Here's some ice." He just beat the shit out of you, and he did it with a smile. And he's giving you ice, and he's acting like he's your friend. And then you go home and you can't laugh because and you can't train anymore because, well, not anymore, but you can't train for like a month because you're in excruciating pain. That's what I'm talking about. And that should not be happening. You're a coach. You've been doing this for 40 years, 30 years. You've been doing fighting your whole life. You have a lot more power than somebody who's only been training for a year. And you know you can kill that student. You know you can do that. That you know you can inflict some serious damage on that person, and you do it anyway. That's messed up. That should not. That's not that. Yeah, that's not appropriate. That's abuse. Yep, the liver shot. I am multidimensional. I can talk about different subject. Yeah, the strongest bargaining position is the ability to walk away. Yes, 100%. I think walking away, there's something psychological about this. But before I get into this, hold on. Let's get something to drink. So, this week's beer is Victoria. We are going back down south to Mexico. We went to, let's see, we went to the Czech Republic twice with the Pilsner, and then with the Czechvar. Or yeah, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Couldn't go to Poland because Poland didn't have any. Couldn't get a visa, and the Polish border was blocking all foreigners, so couldn't get any Polish beer. So had to be content with the Czech Republic twice. Went back to Texas because the Czech Republic had too many racists. Got some Shiner beer, and then kept going down south, and we're back in Mexico for Victoria. This is Victoria beer. This is the first beer that was ever brewed in Mexico. Was developed by German immigrants who settled in Mexico back in the 19th century, or early 19th century. All Mexican beers, by the way, are the product of German immigration. Corona, Modelo, Dos Equis, all beer in Mexico is the result of German immigration into Mexico. So let's crack this one open. We're doing the beer aficionado stuff. So we're getting a good foamy head on the top. We got some beautiful, beautiful texture. Beautiful texture. Definitely the smell of yeast. I'm being like those guys, right? I smell yeast. Yeah, yeast. More yeast. Kind of bready. Kind of has the smell of like a dough that's developing. Excellent beer. Victoria is by far the best tasting. I would say I'm stuck in between Victoria and Modelo. I think those two beers are very good. But very good beer. Very good beer. If you want to try a good Mexican beer, try this out next time you go to the store. They're in all American grocery stores. If you are living in Europe, you should be content with what you have because Europe has, right? Europe is like the motherland of all beers, at least today. If you're living in Europe, my God, you guys are lucky because you get to try all the different beers from different European countries. Samuel Adams. I couldn't find Samuel Adams actually. I need to go to a different store. Nice color. Yes, the color is very good. Definitely, this is a much richer beer. It's probably the richest beer I've tasted. Not probably. This is the richest beer I've tasted out of all the Mexican beers. I've tried Corona. Everyone's tried Corona. Corona, Modelo, Sol, Dos Equis, Pacifico, and now I'm trying Victoria. Sol is another Mexican beer. This one is definitely the richest of all the Mexican beers that I have tasted. Very good. Closer to like a Shiner, but it's like a little bit lighter than a Shiner. But very enjoyable. Some classes are a mix of competition and average Joes. I've been there and I went up against some girl some guy liked and he was jealous, went up against me, almost tore my arm off. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Um, when I was in jiu-jitsu, there was a guy that I was training with, and he was, I'm not going to give out any names, but there was a guy that I was training with. He was a At that time, he was a brown belt, I believe. Brown belt is the belt that you have. I think he was either a purple or a brown. If he was a purple, he was very close to getting a brown belt. But purple belt is your third belt before getting a black. So it's in jiu-jitsu, it's white belt, of course. Then you go from white to blue. Blue belt is like a big step because it takes for most people it takes about 2 years to get a blue belt. Although if you're good enough, you can get it in a year. White belt, blue belt, and then after blue, isn't it purple? I'm pretty certain it's purple. Then it's brown, and then it's black. And it takes a long time to get a belt in jiu-jitsu. That's what makes the belt system in jiu-jitsu more respected than other martial arts, because it takes so long to get one. Whereas, if you go to your strip mall karate school, you can get a black belt in maybe 2 years or so. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, you can get your black belt in 8 years, sometimes longer, depends on how much you train. But there was a guy there, and he was the top competitor in the school. Top. This guy competed at an international level, very athletic. Jiu-jitsu was his life. Like, he had a job, but it was like after work jiu-jitsu. He trained jiu-jitsu every single day. There were very few days where you wouldn't see him in the gym. This guy was a fanatic. And I remember I was training with him, and I mean, he was very good. I was very new, and he had full control. I mean, he was dictating the match, and it wasn't really a match; it was a sparring round. And before I knew it, I mean, this guy had me in an armbar, and he was almost like I could feel like muscle. I mean, I was tapping, and this dude just torquing my arm back, and for days later, I felt the torn tissue, and it's like, okay, you're a purple belt or a brown belt, and you're fighting against a white belt, and you're busting this dude's arm. Like, it's ridiculous, it's ridiculous. I hate that sort of thing. Oh, the red belt, yeah, that's for like retirees. Deportamos. By retirees, I mean it's like a figurative thing, right? Like you said, ceremonial. Deportamos tedescos reto a la Germania. Mexico for the Mexicans. Happy Easter. Christ is indeed risen. Try a Canadian beer. I couldn't find any Canadian beer. But Canadian beer, like, what do they have over there? El Presidente. There's another Mexican beer that I want to try. Tecate, I have not tried. I would also like to try, what do you call it? Bavaria. There's another Mexican beer called Bavaria. By the name, it's obvious that it wasn't founded by Mexicans. Beer is such an awesome drink. I don't really see it as a psychoactive drug anymore, because I can drink a can and not feel anything. I can drink 2 cans and feel very little, actually. It's just an enjoyable, refreshing drink. It's like drinking kombucha. People say, "Oh, it's alcohol. It's alcohol. You're gonna become an alcoholic." Well, here's the thing. I don't really drink hard alcohol. I don't like tequila. I don't like vodka. I don't like cognac. The only liquor that I'll drink sometimes is some of my homemades. Well, I've never made a homemade liquor, but I did make a nice hard alcoholic beverage made from watermelon juice, which I still have. Once in a while I'll drink it. It's not bad, actually. But once in a while I'll have ouzo, which is a Greek liquor made with anise. It has an excellent, like, black licorice flavor. But people are like, "Oh, it's beer." Like, beer is not very alcoholic. It's very low in alcohol, and it's refreshing. It's very refreshing. It has a very nice texture. It's nothing like drinking tequila. You can't equate the two. Like, just because they both have alcohol doesn't mean they're the same. Tequila is a very hard drink. Vodka is a very hard alcohol. You can take a few shots of vodka and you can get pretty buzzed up. And I don't like the taste of vodka. when I bought this Victoria beer, I bought it at an alcohol store, and they were, I believe it or not, they were giving away free samples of vodka. And somebody said, "Hey, would you like a free sample of vodka?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" And he goes, "Well, this is Ukrainian vodka." I said, "Oh, it's from Ukraine." "Yes, sir, this is Ukrainian vodka." And I said, "Oh, how do they make it?" And he said, "They make it from pure rye, right, grown in Ukraine." And I tasted it and I said, it's not bad. It's very smooth. It's much smoother than the American vodka that I've tasted, but still, it's not my thing. But why on earth were they giving away free Ukrainian vodka? Because they were virtue signaling to Mr. Zelensky. And I guess, I don't know if I don't want to say anything more. It's virtue signaling, guys. Um, but beer it's almost like drinking a soda, but it's better than soda because it's soda. When you drink a soda pop, an American soda pop, and it's made with corn syrup and God knows what else, you just know you're not really drinking something real. You're drinking something that's chemically produced. You drink like uh, cherry Coca-Cola. Is there really cherries in this? No. But when you drink a good beer, you know that they're putting grains in this, wheat and yeast. These are natural ingredients, and it's fermented. So it's almost like a wheat tea, almost like a fermented wheat tea. It's not bad for you. I don't think beer is really that bad for you. I don't think it's bad for you. Um, it's refreshing. It kind of mellows out the room, takes the edge off. Refreshing. It quenches your thirst. Tastes good. It's not too sweet like soda. It's very, very light. And I don't like sweet beer. Guinness, if you drink Guinness, Irish beer, it's very rich, sweet. I don't like it. I don't think beer should be too sweet. It should have a hint of sweetness, but it should be mainly bitterness. Um, but it's just very natural, and there's something very beautiful about it. It's like, what is yeast? Yeast is a fungus that comes from the air, and there's something beautiful about taking something that's alive and natural and using it to make something really tasty, like yeast. Or when you're making kombucha, I mean, what's kombucha? Kombucha is a fermented tea, kind of like beer, but you're not using wheat. You're using herbs. You're using tea leaves. With kombucha, you can use anything actually. You could add fruit to your kombucha, tea, any herbs that you want. It's like the celebration of the garden. It's like I'm taking what I've grown, fruit, herbs, and putting it in this mix, brewing it, and then allowing something natural like yeast and bacteria from the air to come into the drink and then make it into something very tasty and make it into a completely new drink. I think there's something so fascinating about this. And when you consume kombucha, the bacteria and the yeast, they go into your gut, and they become a part uh, of your stomach. I mean, they become a part of your gut health. So it's very interesting. I can't fully explain it, but rakia 80%. So yeah, rakia it's similar to, there's a drink in Lebanon, they call it arak. They had it in the West Bank. I don't know if they still do, but similar to rakia. But ouzo is very good. Over in Ireland, they have another beer called Kellanese, and that's the opposite of Guinness. Okay, they should bring that over here. Everybody drinks Guinness all the time. But there is a friend of mine who is allergic to yeast. Oh, that sucks. Grey Goose and Red Bull. Do you Molson Canadian in your state? What does that mean? I'm a whiskey guy. Is your dad doing the lecture tonight? No, he is not. That's why I'm here, guys. Sorry. I'm the substitute teacher. Liquid candy. Yep. Bourbon. I've never tried bourbon before. I've tried cognac. Um, Cognac is, I don't like it. I don't like it. It just doesn't taste good to me. There's nothing like a cold beer. You take a beer that you lift in the like. I'll get a refrigerated beer and you just leave it in the freezer for like at least a half hour, at most 45 minutes. And you want to take the beer when it's just about to harden into ice. That's when you want to take it. When it's like it's getting to that point where it's just barely beginning to become ice, and that's when you drink it. It's really good, and it gets the flavor of the beer is so much more refined. Have you ever tried tartar steak? No, I've never tried steak tartare. There's a raw egg in it. No. I think you should do a whole hour, no geopolitics, no foreign affairs, just a whole hour on serial killers. I will always limit myself to just one for discipline. That's good. How's my Spanish? That's pretty good. You still haven't tried Sculpin IPA. Ooh. Smirnoff? Oh, it's like I'm not too crazy. I haven't tried it, but I've heard Smirnoff is basically just vodka mixed with lemonade. So that doesn't sound too good. Canadian dry. Ooh, yeah. Ginger ale is very good. I love ginger ale. Molson. Oh, okay. I'll try to see if they have Molson. Finlandia vodka. Hey, I'll have to. I'm not much of a vodka guy. What's funny is that America, we have like 50 different vodka breweries here, and it's in the state of Texas. We have like we have multiple Texas breweries that make vodka. Not well, they're not really breweries; they're distilleries, I think. You only drink Silver Bullet. Hmm. Hmm. I posted up some stories yesterday and today on just some stories that I found on the news. For example, Ukrainian Nazi, and you'll never hear this, right? You're never going to hear this stuff in the English-speaking news. Ukrainian Nazis enter people's homes, murder the men, the women, and children, and even rape the women. And there's an interview you can see of a civilian in Ukraine talking about these things. Um, you'll never hear this. And what's so crazy to me, what is so crazy, is how CNN recently interviewed or recently broadcasted the speech of the commander of Azov. What's his name? I wrote it down here. Major Denis Prokopenko. They brought in Major Denis Prokopenko to CNN to talk about how evil the Russians are. And this guy's the commander of a Nazi battalion, the Azov battalion. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. This is why I'd rather much talk about something else, because it's such a bleak topic. It's such a bleak topic, you know? It I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. When you have Azov, who has the symbol of the Wolfsangel as their icon. They have the black sun as their icon. These are Nazi, I mean, blatantly Nazi symbols. Their founder, Andrei Blitsky, stated that he wants to lead a crusade to destroy the Semite-led Untermenschen, the Semite-led inferiors, the subhumans. When you have recently a member of Azov saying that all Russian children in Donbass should have their heads sawed off. Yes, there was a Azov member who said this. Um, it's just when you have these sorts of things happening, um, it's amazing. It was only like in 2015, a lot of people were talking about Azov. You saw the pictures of them with the swastikas, and they're talking with the commander of this battalion, and the Ukrainians added the battalion into their military, and the way that they try to minimize it. It's so crazy. Remember when they were calling Trump a fascist? Trump was a fascist. Trump was connected to white supremacist, white nationalist. Remember when Trump said, when remember the Tiki Torch thing, and Trump said they were bad people on both sides. Remember that? He said they were bad people on both sides. Now they're literally doing the same thing. They're saying, well, there's good people in Azov. They're not all bad. It's like 20% Nazis. Okay, and they say, well, it's only. They say according to Azov, they're only 20% Nazis. Okay, so they're 20% Nazis. That's a lot, by the way. because there's thousands of members of Azov, so which means out of every 100, there's 20 of them that will Sieg Heil to Hitler. That's a lot. Plus, if you're in a movement that has 20% Nazis, you need to question that the integrity of that movement. And it's like, okay, so 20% of them or 30% of them are Nazis. So what's the 80%? 80% of them are what? They're Slava Ukraina, glory to the hero, Ukrainian nationalists. How does that make them any better? It's so insane to me. It's so freaking insane to see, because it used to be like, okay, who is backing the Nazis, right? It's like, remember what was it? Red Eye. There was Red Eye. Was it Red Eye? I don't remember the name of it. It was that. There were all of these what do you call it? There were these far right, alt right stations. I think Red Eye was one of them. There was a whole bunch of them, and it's like, okay, you had Molyneux, Red Eye, Red Ice, or something, and you had several of them, and people would talk about them and say, oh, look, these are the far right guys. But now you have major news outlets like CNN saying, no, bringing in the commander of this organization to tell the American people about whatever. It's like, why not just bring in a member of ISIS to tell us about the Russians in Syria? I don't know. It's insane. It's insane, guys. We're living in the freaking Twilight Zone. Red Ice. Yeah, I think it was Red Ice. Hitler took over. That's a good point. Would you say the same about Russia? You always give me these Balkan names, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. The glass you drink your beer or wine out of matters. Oh, yeah, I'm drinking out of something you would drink like grape juice or something. Rusich. I'm sorry, who's Rusich? Alexander Rusich, who? I don't know who this is. The first casualty of war is truth. Amen. I knew the first few guys who were brewing rakia in their university dorm. That's awesome. Stouts? I'm not a big fan. Guinness is a stout. It's a little too thick. But now you have mainstream news saying, oh, yeah, we're bringing the commander of some Nazi organization. And it's not like this is a guy from some small-time hick-ass racist group in Alabama somewhere, whatever. This is the commander of a major paramilitary organization that's an integral part of the Ukrainian military. And it's like, well, the Ukrainian military has integrated them, has embedded them into their military, so they're not really a battalion anymore. They're kind of like they're a unit. They're a fighting unit, if for probably lack of better words. It's like, okay, so there's a Nazi unit in the Ukrainian military. How is that good? How is that good? Oh, it's not. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. It just is what it is. I mean, it's like saying, well, yeah, we have a Nazi regiment here. Imagine the United States government. Yes, we have a Nazi regiment. Let's say Donald Trump. If Donald Trump took Azov, right, and said, you know what? We got to bring in better immigrants in here to America. We're getting too many Africans, too many Mexicans, ruining America. We should bring people from Ukraine. My wife Melania, she's from Slovenia. That's basically like Ukraine. They're good people. They're all the same. They're good people, wonderful people, beautiful people, love them, wonderful people. Okay, we're gonna bring in 10,000 members of Azov because they're patriots. They've fought for their country. They're gonna fight for ours. Wonderful people, wonderful. So we have 10,000. I think Azov has about 10,000 members. 10,000 Azov fighters are now in America, right? And Trump's like, they're so good, so good. Have you seen how they fought the Russians, those separatists in wherever, Ukraine somewhere? Have you seen how they fought them? Wonderful people, great fighters, warriors, great fight, excellent, wonderful, beautiful people. Love them, wonderful people. We're putting them in our military. We're putting them in our military, everybody. Do you think the left wing, do you think the media, the CNN, do you think BBC, do you think these people would be like, only 20% of them are Nazis? Who cares? They would be on Trump's ass. over and over. Do it. Look, Trump has put a far-right paramilitary force in the U.S. military. How are they going to do when they're deployed to African countries? Are they going to kill black people? How are they going to do when they're deployed in areas of the country that have a substantial Mexican population? Are they going to kill Mexican? Are they going to kill non-white members of the U.S. Armed Forces? What's going to happen? Trump is a Nazi. This is it. 100%, guys. Fascism. They would be on Trump's ass 24/7. But Zelensky, or not Zelensky, the Ukrainian government does it. And now, because Ukraine's at a war with the big bad Russians, we have to make an argument that minimizes the reality of Azov. You know what? I am going to start using a Trumpian term. The lying media. That's what we're dealing with. The lying media. Fake news. I'm going to start talking like a Trumper. I'm doing it, guys. Trump. You know what? I'm about to say the F word. I'm trying to hold my tongue. F it. Screw it, guys. I'm becoming a hardcore Trump fan. Why not? If the mainstream media attacked Trump all the time, if people in the media attack Trump all the time, calling him far right, but they're not talking about Azov, then F the media. Might as well just vote for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is Kofi Annan in comparison to Azov. So we need to just support Trump. And if somebody wants to call us fascists, you give them the middle finger and say F you. Because you were kissing Ukrainian ass all day and drinking Ukrainian vodka and minimizing the reality of fascism in Ukraine. That's my opinion, guys. Alex Stein did a video on recruiting county commissioner to fight for Ukraine. Laugh my ass out. That is pretty funny and cringe. And now Russians are fighting Nazis again, so it kind of makes sense on an emotional level. Yeah, absolutely. Stalin and Hitler were allies of convenience. Yes, that is true. Didn't Azov have like 2,000? Everybody says 2,000 members, but I've read otherwise. I have read, and I will send you the source, that they have about 10,000 members. $10,000. Let me see here. Let me see here. 10,000. I'm pretty certain they have 10,000 members now. Yeah. The total number of Azov forces are a little more than 10,000. That's what I'm reading here, guys. Your 2,000 membership number is pretty dated, guys. It's been years. So they have about 10,000 members, and they probably have a lot more supporters. So yeah, not probably. They do have a lot more supporters. Canada has second. Yeah, Canada is basically second Ukraine, right? It's like the second Ukraine of the world. Ukrainian Nazis, we got all of a sudden be okay with 20% of their military. Yeah. Imagine if like 20% of the U.S. military was Nazi. That's a good point. Imagine if 20% of the U.S. Army were full of Nazis. Well, just 20%, guys. And by the way, the 20% figure they keep citing, that comes from Azov. So the Nazis are telling you that they're not Nazis. Huh? Ted Bundy's not going to tell you that he's a murderer before he kills you. Remember, if you ever read about Ted Bundy, since, Kasha brought up Ted Bundy, so here we are talking about Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy would go to women and say, "Could you help me carry some boxes into the van?" "Oh, okay." Why do you think we don't trust each other anymore? Because of stories like this. That's why we don't trust people no more. But the girl would try to help him carry the box, and he would just scoop the girl into the van, and she was dead. You think Ted Bundy is going to tell you, "Oh, I'm the serial killer"? Yeah, I'm a serial killer, guy. Who would have known, right? No, he's going to say, "Could you help me carry some boxes over?" You think Azov's going to say, "Oh, yeah," or a bunch of Nazis? And we're saying like 20% of them are kind of Nazis, but, the Wolfsangel is kind of like a pagan symbol. Even though our founder, Andrei Belitsky himself, said that he got it from the Germans. Yeah, we're patriots, we're not really we're not Nazis. Yeah. F it. Just become a hard. You know what? Just become a Trump guy. Everybody should vote for Donald Trump. Everybody should. I think every single one of us should go out and vote for Donald Trump. Just F it. Give the middle finger out. If you guys support Azov, we're just going to vote for Trump. Who cares at this point? Who really gives a shit at this point? Because apparently far right and Nazi and fascist are just titles you give to people that you don't really like at the end of the day. But if you're dealing with people who actually will hold up the swastika, oh, they're not Nazis, they're patriots all of a sudden. Really. Give me a freaking break. How many Donbass rebels carry the Call of Rut? How many? How many of those actually carry the Call of Rut? But let's do a whataboutism all day, right? Let's not talk about Ukraine. Let's just talk about Donbass all day. Let's just talk about Donbass all flipping day. My dumbass will talk about Donbass all day. How about we just talk about Donbass? What if I just talked about Russia all day, every day? I just bashed Putin. Mr. Chopo, this is a sincere question that I have for you, and I want a sincere answer from you. If I just talked about Russia all day, 24/7, every single minute, every single second, every single one of my videos was about how I hate Russia and how Putin is evil and how Russia is a racist country and it's wonderful and the Holodomor and Russia will take over all of Europe and Poland is next and Putin is Adolf Hitler. What if I just did that every single video? Would you tell me, hey Ted, there's some Nazis in Ukraine? I just want to know. Would you? I just want to know. Would you? I just want a yes or no from you. Would you be doing that? There are some, yes. But would you be telling me, Ted, hey, look at the other side? I didn't ask you to acknowledge it. I know you know this is true. But I'm asking you, would you be telling me, Ted, quick reminder, look at the other side? I just want to know. We should all just vote for Trump. Just vote for Donald Trump. Become hardcore Trump fans. Put the MAGA hats on. Get forget the American flag. Throw the American flag out. Get the Trump flag. Get yourself a Trump flag, big old flag that says MAGA on it. And you know what? Just the raid over the Capitol. Just say yeah, that was great. Those guys are heroes. Glory to the Capitol Raiders. Herodium Capitol. Slava to the Capitol Raiders. Vaccination, throw that out the window. Vaccines are evil. Just go full hardcore at this point. Because what's the point? What's the flipping point? The side that hates you is gonna hate you anyway. Who cares? Because you can just tell them I wasn't the one kissing Azov ass. Azov ass. Kissing Azov all day. The Capitol Raiders were idiots. Of course they were idiots. But the libs were trying to say, oh look, they were like fascists or something. They were crazy ass people taking, and they were right. They are crazy. But just troll the media. Just say, yeah, no. And if they call you a Nazi, just say, I'm not a Nazi. Just like they did to us, regarding Azov. Although you do sound like the kind of guy who would, in 1940s, talk about the poor German civilians being butchered by Polak and Czech barbarian. You are so wrong about that. You are so wrong about that, Chopo. I asked you a question, but you haven't answered it yet. Well, I mean, if they're German civilians being murdered, I would say, yeah, that's wrong. But I'm not going to sit there. I would have never joined. I would have never been like pro-German or anything like that. I mean, I just know myself. You literally did? What did you do? Where's your answer? I don't see your answer anywhere here, Chopo. I want to know, would you tell me, Ted, you need to look at the other side? I'm not asking you to acknowledge that they are Nazis. Everybody acknowledges that. But I want you to tell me, would you be saying, would you be writing me saying, Ted, you need to look at the other side? You're not answering my question, Chopo. You're being no, you're being slithery here, buddy. I asked you a question. My question is, if I talked about Russia all day, every day, and never talked about Azov, never talked about any of that Nazi stuff, would you be telling me, Ted, look at the other side? You're not answering the question. I want a yes or no. A simple yes or no. You can't give it to me. You don't want to give it to me. I just want a simple yes or no. Yes or no. Would you be saying, Ted, you're going a little too much on this side. You need to look at the other side. I just simple question. Simple question. The vid is worth talking about. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about Jews all day. I'm gonna watch it. Relax, relax. If one side is disproportionately murderous, I didn't ask you about which side is disproportionately murderous. I'm asking you, would you be telling me to look at the other side? If you completely disregarded it, yes. Okay, fine. Fair enough. Oh, what a day. What a day. What a day. I want to show you guys something. Check this out. How long have I been talking? Almost 2 hours. Oh. I'm going to show you guys something here. I want to show you guys. Oh, this one looks good. So this is what I do for fun when I'm not talking about the Fourth Reich or whatever. This is homemade kombucha. This is fermented tea, so it's kind of like beer, similar in texture, but not nowhere near the same as taste. This is a fermented tea called kombucha. I would love to talk to you guys about the history of this drink because it is a lovely, lovely thing to make. It's been carbonating in this bottle for, God, how long? Almost 2 weeks now. About 2 weeks now, actually. I put it in the fridge to temper the carbonation so that it doesn't explode when I open it like a champagne bottle. The leaves here, these are tansy leaves that I grew. So tansy leaves, the leaves do add some flavor, although tansy flowers are where you're gonna get the apex of tansy flavor. Tansy flowers add an excellent flavor. They're almost like hops because they do add a good bitterness to the drink, a pleasant bitterness. The red color comes from raspberries that I put into the bottle, and then the brew itself is made with different herbs. It's what do you call it? A bee balm. It's a bee balm from my backyard, which I made into a tea, bee balm tea, and then I added about a half a cup of sugar to 1 gallon of bee balm tea. Brewed it for about 2 weeks, and then bottled it. Brewed it in a fermentation jar where the air can escape but no air can come in. And then I added it to a bottle. In the bottle, I put tansy leaves and some raspberries to give some natural sugar for the yeast to feed on, to give it an extra carbonation, to aid the carbonation. And then I put it in this bottle, which is made to withstand lots of buildup of pressure. And so no air can escape. That way I have good carbonation. So let's open this bad boy. This actually may be a complete dud. This actually could be flat. Sometimes you have a flat kombucha. I haven't opened up this bottle yet. So let's see the carbonation levels on this one. Oh. Yep, this is a weak-ass kombucha. Oh my gosh, all that talk for nothing. What a joke. Hold on. I Hold on. Hold on. I got another bottle. Let's see if there's some carbonation on this one. So let's see, there's some carbonation on this one here. Nope. Man, this is a lousy... Man, this one came out lousy. Or did it? I don't know. I have... Hold on. I'm going to see something here. Anyway, who cares? Let's just... Since it's been in the fridge for a while, let's just open it up anyway. And just open it up. Because it still tastes good. Even without carbonation. Up, 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 up. Oh, dang it. There's a berry. There's a berry that's clogging this bottle up. Goodness gracious, what a failure. Oh, there it is. Not bad. There's some carbonation in it. But it has a nice earthy taste to it. There is a light carbonation. Nothing special. I've had much better. But, oh, Tansy Leaves in my mouth. But one day I'll pop up a bottle in front of this camera that have a better carbonation. This one probably should have stayed warm for a longer time before I put it in the fridge. Well, I added berry. Berries have done a very good job, but this one didn't work that well. Probably should have put it in there longer. No, it doesn't stink at all. Did I, in my previous interactions with you, ever deny any atrocities, my people? No, you haven't denied them, but anytime I start talking about Ukraine, you bring up Russians. So I'm just wondering if you would do the same if the situation was reversed. Yes, you did, in all fairness. I'm not denying that. I'm just wondering if you would do the same if I was talking about Russia all day. Doesn't need oxygen. It needs sugar. I don't know, but probably some oxygen. It's still nonetheless a refreshing little drink for the yeah. Kool-Aid is better. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not better at all. Let's see here. Yep, here's another one. There have been stories of people wanting to leave Mariupol and the Ukrainians kill them. Ukrainians have murdered civilians who have tried to leave the city. There was one story I read where the Azov guys said, "Okay, if you want to leave, then meet us here," and the people would get there and they would kill them. There was one story of a guy who was selling cigarettes and he was shot. He was murdered by the Ukrainians. Of course, this is never talked about in America. We just hear about Bucha, 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 and even man, I'm getting really into deep waters here. I haven't talked about Bucha, and the reason why is because there's some things that I've heard about Bucha that sort of contradict the narrative. One is that, for one, there's a video you can see. Two Ukrainian nationalist fighters are talking in Bucha. This video came out the day that the media started talking about it, and one fighter says to the other, "Can we kill people who don't have blue armbands?" The blue armband being the ribbon that the Ukrainian soldiers put around their arm to distinguish them from the Russians. And they said, "Can we kill people who don't have blue armbands?" Because Russian civilians in Ukraine will put white armbands to show that they're friendly to the Russians. So one says, "Can we kill people who don't have blue armbands?" And the other guy says, "F yes, yes you can, absolutely." You have that story, and that sort of throws a curveball at the narrative. It's like, okay, what was really happening? Were people killed in Bucha? Yes, absolutely. Was there a massacre? Yes. Was it done by the Russians? That's the question. There is, for example, the Ukrainian National Guard did a video when they first entered Bucha, and they're driving around the streets, and there's no mention of dead bodies. The mayor of Bucha did a video saying, "We have a victory over the Russians have left, blah, blah, blah." He never brings up Bucha. Wasn't until a few days after the Russians had left that people started talking about Bucha. Yeah, I don't know. There's a yeah, Kombucha to Buche. Yes, I know. I've seen the satellite image, but it says that it's for one. I've heard that the images were taken 2 weeks prior, right? So the images are from 2 weeks before the Russians had left, which means that what those bodies were there for 2 weeks, and for 2 weeks we haven't heard anything. We didn't hear anything for weeks, is what you're saying. And that's why I'm not hesitant. I'm not unwilling to admit that Russia has done something wrong. I'm just not seeing enough evidence to make that affirmation that it's like 100% this is what happened. I mean, even in the beginning, the Pentagon said we really can't confirm that Russia did this. Um, that's the thing. The corking system, it could be that there just wasn't enough sugar for the yeast, but a flat booch is still a good booch, you know? Not as good, but it's still good. Well, yeah, and there's a video of Ukrainian soldiers dragging they're dragging bodies with ropes, and it's like, okay, why are they dragging bodies with ropes? It's just, did you watch the Chomsky video I sent you? When did you send it? I'm sorry. Did you send it on Facebook or where did you send it? Let me see. You sent me a bunch of music. I don't on Facebook. How have you been? I'm doing okay, 117 Rebel. Yeah, the Russians were gone, and then days later they started talking about Bucha, and it's like, I don't know. Sounds fishy, and it's interesting that the reports on Bucha came out not too long after a video was discovered showing Ukrainian soldiers actually murdering POWs, actually committing war crimes. Oh, and by the way, that Ukrainian guy who argues in Speaker's Corner, Mr. Pavlov or whatever, he says somebody asked him, "Hey, what about this video of Ukrainian soldiers committing war crimes?" And it's amazing. We actually have a video of Ukrainians killing people. We have a video of Ukrainians shooting Russian soldiers, POWs, calling them pussies, making fun of them, mocking them, killing them, torturing them by shooting them in the legs, and no one gives a shit. But we have some satellite images, and it's like, oh, yep, this is the evidence, guys. But let's not talk about what our guys did, because those are our guys. So yeah, Sabra and Shatila, we all know that Israel aided in that shit. Nobody wants to talk about that. Over 1,000 people murdered in a refugee camp, raped and murdered in horrendous ways by Lebanese nationalists. But because Israel supported them, let's just talk about whatever. Let's talk about the guys that we hate. You sent it again. Okay, thank you. Why Chomsky is garbage. Oh no, they hate Chomsky? Why do they hate Chomsky for? Oh, because he denies what the Serbs did. Well, I read Chomsky's book on the Balkans, and he doesn't deny that the Serbs killed people. What he says is that the NATO bombing made it worse. That's his argument. Scott Ritter did a good video on it. Have you seen it? I heard the bodies can be rigged with explosions, so they sometimes use ropes to move them. I see. Oh, I see. Okay. Scott Ritter. See, the reason why I didn't want to do a video on it is because I don't want to 100% affirm it. And at the same time, I don't want to I don't want to deny it either because this could have happened. Like the Russians could have killed all those people. And if it comes out like okay, 100% this is not bullshit, then I will acknowledge it. I will say yes, this happened. But when I see a video of Ukrainians in Bucha saying, "Hey, can we kill people that don't have the blue armbands?" Yeah, go ahead, kill them. When you see the mayor of Bucha saying, "Yeah, we have a victory," when you have a video being filmed by the Ukrainian National Guard as soon as they entered Bucha, and there's no filming of dead bodies, no talk of dead bodies until what, April 2nd, and the Russians left on March 31st. I'm not going to deny it, but I'm not going to affirm it. I'm going to wait. Theo, it's like if I talked about Hezbollah and you then brought up Israel afterwards instead of yeah, I know. That's what people do all the time. Yeah, Chomsky in the okay, Bosnia. Okay. Chomsky, okay, I thought okay. Didn't Russia do some of that same atrocities in Syria? The only thing, not really, the only thing I can think of is what Wagner did. The Wagner mercenaries, they tortured a man. It was really horrific. And I talk about it on this video, and I wrote about it when it happened. There's a video you can see online of Wagner mercenaries torturing a Syrian man by literally beating him with a sledgehammer slowly. It was like that scene from Misery. It was horrific. I couldn't watch it. I turned it off. I said, I'm not watching this. That's the only thing I can think of. But other than that, Russia fought ISIS. Russia has supported the Bashar al-Assad government, which I agree with. And Russia did a whole lot of fighting against the terrorists in Syria, especially in Palmyra. There was a lot of fighting in Palmyra. It can take years, sometimes if ever, to find out exactly what happens during war. Not like the government is gonna. Yeah, it's like they're coming out right now and just saying it. It's like I think we should wait. Now there is a video of Ukrainian soldiers torturing and killing Russian soldiers, and that is not fake. That is real. The Ukrainian government has acknowledged it. I mean, they don't say like, "Yeah, guys, we did it," but they say we're going to do an investigation on the video, which means it happened. And when you watch the video, it's very clear by the dynamic of the video that these are Ukrainian soldiers doing this because they're speaking in Ukrainian, they're speaking in Russian, they're going back and forth. The violence is very real. This it's not fake. This is just not fake. Hold on. They got medals for torturing the Syrian guy? I don't know about that. You can say the same thing about Blackwater. Mercenaries are not exactly good people. But was there... I'm trying to see if the Russian government did anything about this. But this sort of thing, I hate to sound like one of these apologists, but things like this, okay, I'm not going to say things like this happen in war just to minimize it. What happened was horrific and it was evil. But I'm not certain if I would just say, yeah, this is all of the Russian military. But it wasn't the Russian military, it was a mercenary group. These are guns for hire. And Blackwater did horrific things as well, but I'm not going to say, yeah, this is the whole American military. Wagner Group are sick, yes. Their bravery in Syria. Okay. But I don't think they got medals for torturing people. Is the holy fire real? I believe it is, yes. War brings out the worst in people. It can also bring out the best in people too. It just depends on the person, right? There are plenty of photos of Utkin who has SS uniform tattooed on his body alongside Putin. I saw the movie The Northman. Okay. Um, do you think that Putin is a Nazi? I saw the movie The Northman Friday, and man, that's a good movie. The pagan rituals and combat. Yeah, that's the only reason why I'm gonna watch this film because it has the berserker stuff in it, which I find fascinating. I'm wondering if I can find this movie online. Can I get it online? I'm wondering if I can find it online. I'm looking it up right now. There's another film that I recommend. If you guys like very suspenseful films, watch Coming Home at Night. It's a New Zealand film, Kiwi movie, very well done. The Northman. No, I can't find it online. You recently saw the film Not Without My Daughter. Yeah, it's a classic movie. Very realistic. I think it'd be better to see it on the big screen. Have any of you guys ever seen the film Gladiator? That's a masterpiece of a movie. It's a masterpiece of a film. I saw that film in theater when it came out back in 2000, 2001, I think it came out. Russell Crowe. It's a very good movie. I love that film. Braveheart was another masterpiece. I think I kind of like Braveheart over Gladiator. I think Braveheart's excellent. I love Braveheart. Um, yeah, I don't like Wagner. I don't like mercenary groups. The Mummy was an excellent film. Masterpiece of a movie. Very well done. Interesting. They fought the Libyan opponents, allies. I'm looking at the Wagner Group, Russian armed forces, Russian separatist forces, the Syrian armed forces. What happened to Brendan Fraser? I thought he was an excellent actor, very underrated actor. He could play different characters very well. I'm gonna get into something deep here, a little bit deep, and it's been kind of on my mind. I've noticed a lot more people getting cancer nowadays. This is a very dark topic, guys. I know, but cancer is one of those things, like the big C word. You can tell me COVID, you can tell me, but when people say cancer, it's a horrifying thing because with cancer, it's like your life is gone. You go on a chemo for years, and it's just you could go for less, but you just don't know. You're just forced into the unknown and uncertainty. And I know a guy who I've known for years, and he's 40 something years old, and he got diagnosed with cancer, and it's just a shock. It's a shock, and they removed it from his body. They removed it, thankfully, but he still has to take a scan. Well, he took a scan to see if there's anything else, but yeah, it's crazy. I'm just a little bit shocked by the whole thing. But yeah, I got this shirt, guys. Here, who likes M&Ms? Let's see here. Brendan Fraser was sexually harassed. I did not know that. Sexual assault. Wow, I did not know that. How old is that guy? What's his age? He's 6'2". He's 53 years old. Damn. He's old. So he was 30 something. 52. That was 30. 52. Yeah, he was young when he did The Mummy. Oh my gosh. It says here he alleged in 2018 that he was sexually assaulted by Philip Burke, the then president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, at a luncheon in the summer. I believe it. I 100%. After my experience in the Catholic Church, I 100% believe this. The assault, his subsequent divorce, and the death of his mother launched Fraser into a depression that, combined with his health issued issues and a backlash within the industry over speaking out against Burke, caused his career to decline. That's why. Oh, damn. What a tragedy. He was an excellent actor. Philip Burke? What kind of name is that? Burke. I don't know. Sounds kind of kosher. Sounds kosher. Hmm. 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 Ugh. This Burke guy looks like a. I don't know. I won't go anymore. Is your friend going to try the fasting autography thing to tamp down the cans? I don't know. He's the type of guy, he don't eat vegetables, and he didn't live a very healthy lifestyle. He didn't cook. He went out to eat all the time, and and I don't know. I did not know he was in a History Channel series. All it takes is one mutated cell to get the ball rolling. How do you like the big question is how do you prevent that from happening? Cancer is on my dad's side of the family, it's not a very big thing. Um I think there were only like two members in my dad's family that ever got it. Grandma hasn't gotten it. My grandmother's 87 years old. She's never gotten cancer. Her mother never had cancer. Her father never had cancer. Her grandparents never had cancer. On my mother's side, though, there is bone cancer is a thing. Uh, but my grandfather, my mom's father, he died at the age of 90. He never had cancer. Well, he died of cancer, but at the age of 90. So he lived he lived a good life, and then died at 90, which is, I think, a pretty good age to die in. You lived your life. But this guy that I know, he doesn't eat vegetables. Never ate vegetables. Hated vegetables, and he'd go out to eat multiple times a day. Just yeah, he kind of had a, I don't know, wasn't a very healthy lifestyle. He rarely ever cooked. He just go out. He lived nearby a shopping center, so he lives nearby a shopping center. So when he gets hungry, he just goes. Cancer is caused by obesity. I don't believe that. I've heard that before. I don't believe that. I don't think it's caused by obesity because there are people who are jacked who get cancer. They are people who have six packs, who are ripped, very athletic, and they have cancer. And they are people who drink every day and smoke cigarettes, and they never get cancer. So I would say, I don't know. There was a guy. There was a very famous Swiss kickboxer. What was his name? Swiss kickboxer. Andy Hug. Andy Hug was an exemplary for athleticism, and he died of blood cancer. Got cancer and he died. And he was jacked. Died. There was another guy. Who was the guy who played in Roadhouse? Actor in Roadhouse. Who was the guy who played in Roadhouse? Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze was in very good shape. Died of cancer. There's many stories you can find of people who are in very good shape, or they're not fat at all, and they get cancer. There was a guy I saw. He was in San Francisco. His wife was a famous celloist, and this guy wasn't fat at all. Never smoked a cigarette, and died of lung cancer. Never smoked a cigarette. Died of lung cancer. So not necessarily obesity. I mean, maybe like I would say if I had to guess, cancer is linked mainly to diet. Um, but I would say that it's mainly linked to dieting. I would say overconsumption of meat, especially processed meat, is a definite cause. Um, Lack of herbs in the diet, I would say. Lack of vegetables, I would say, is could be linked to cancer. I don't know, but but there's also an enigma that comes with it. Patrick Swayze. Yeah, this guy was jacked. Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse was a jacked dude and got cancer. So it's not everything. Exposure to chemicals, yeah. I would say, I mean, I've heard India has the lowest level of cancer. India is very low in cancer, and that could be because of the spices that the Indians eat. I heard that the human body has the potential to live 120 to 150 years. Don't know if that's really true. Probably just, probably, I mean, wouldn't surprise me. But then again, you see some of these like British guys who are over 100 years old, and like, what have they been eating? Like, what are they eating over there? Drinking ale every day. I think also some of it is just genetics. I mean, some people are just genetically wired to live a long time. Yes, I would appreciate that, Sister Tenacious. The Ganges River. Yeah, India supposedly has the lowest rate of cancer in the world, and I mean, I wonder what, and I'm pretty certain they have plenty of pollution. So I'm thinking it's something to do. I'm reading something, Rusty. I'm thinking it's something to do with the diet. My grandpa is my father's side lived to 94. And what did your grandfather eat? What was his diet like? Hmm. Who knows? Vegetables mainly. That's good. What kind of vegetables do they eat? I mean, this is probably a silly question because I can just Google it, but what kind of vegetables does your grandfather eat a lot of? I have like four members who have had cancer on both parents' sides and like six family members with Alzheimer's. What does the Queen of England eat? She's 94. I know exactly what she eats. She eats organ transplants, guys. When you're that rich, you get organ transplants. Same thing with that guy. What's his name? Who's that guy who's a big stock market guy? What's his name? Warren Buffett. That dude, Warren Buffett, is like what? How old is he? He's like 80 something years old, and he drinks 2 liters of Pepsi every day and eats McDonald's. That guy's living off of our organs transplants. Spinach, cabbage, red radish. Wow, that's awesome. I had a um, I had a great grandmother. My mother's mother died at the age of 100, I believe. No, she was like 99 or 100 years old, and she eventually passed away of old age. And they said that every day, well, not every day, but her diet mainly consisted of green tomatillo sauce, salsa, with cabbage inside of it. So cabbage that's been cooked in a chili tomatillo sauce. And she ate this with tortilla, and I think she also ate like tomatillo with eggs and things like that. Very rancher, farm-like diet, and she lived up to, I want to say, 100 years old. No, I don't think she's eat. I'm joking. I think this guy's asking like, what's her diet like? And I'm like, organs transplants, because when you're that rich, you can just get new organs and then you just continue to function. It's like getting a new battery on this laptop. Rusty, I wouldn't say your genetics suck. Maybe let's eat. Don't eat as much processed meat. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Spit. I know this Israeli dude who's he's like 99 years old. I mean, he's like close to 100 years old. I've known him. I've known this guy for much of my life. Is old Israeli guy. I knew him back in California. And this dude would just eat. He ate like, what would he eat? He'd eat like fried spinach cakes. Um, Basically the flaky bread crust with spinach inside of it. Israelis like that sort of stuff, like Greeks. He ate a lot of spinach with garlic and rice, um, sautéed spinach leaves, and he also ate lots of salmon. He still eats. He's still alive. Salmon, just like a very good diet. Like salmon, greens, and things like that. I don't know. I don't know. David Rockefeller and George Soros are old as dirt and are super rich. Both are still controlling. Yeah, they're probably getting organs transplants. I'm telling you, you see, like your mother is 82 years old, eats only vegetables. Damn, good for her. I'm telling you, the vegetable and herb diet. Lately, I have been eating garbage. If you couldn't tell already, I have been eating garbage. 2 days ago, I did the unthinkable, guys. I can't believe I did this, but I did. I ordered a 12-inch pizza and I ate the entire thing. I was so hungry. Now, to give credit to myself, I walked a couple of miles to get that pizza. I didn't drive, I walked. I walked all the way to the pizza place. I sat down. I said, "Give me a pizza." I ate the pizza all by myself. I was so hungry because I hadn't eaten much all day. And then I was working on my website, and then I thought, "F it, who cares?" Wasn't eating a whole lot, and I went for a walk, and I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna walk to a restaurant. So I just kept walking. Found a hole in the wall pizza place, got a pizza, and I ate the whole damn thing. And I walked back home. So I burned off some calories. So I kind of balanced it out a little bit. But was kind of proud of myself. I was proud about the fact that I could just walk after eating a 12-inch pizza without vomiting. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Papa John's. It was a family made. It was a family made. It's a family owned business. It's a, believe it or not, a ethnic Italian family. Uh, whose grandparents came from Mexico, but originally the family comes from Italy. They're Italians. They're like Southern Italian people. They have a restaurant, and it's been there for years. I'm surprised it survived COVID. But I said, give me a whole pizza, pepperoni with jalapenos on it, and I ate the whole damn thing. I couldn't believe it. I surprised myself. I was hungry. You know those days where you don't eat much, and then you're like, I got to eat something, and yeah. So I just went out and I ate. Theo taking pride in his sin. Hey, I didn't drink any alcohol though. No alcohol with the pizza. I had it with water. Well, hold on. I did have a little alcohol because the owner of the restaurant saw me and she said, "Hey," well, the wife of the owner, she said, "Hey, here's a glass of champagne on us." And I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." Gives me a nice goblet of champagne. So I had champagne with my pizza. So I felt pretty fancy, guys. But now I got to do a whole detox. I gotta just like eat. I gotta cut off meat for my diet for like the next week. No meat products, no cheese. I think I'm just gonna eat plant-based for the rest of the week to cleanse my body from impurities, from the unkosher impurities. Wife of the owner, because women shouldn't own it. Well, I mean, she works very hard. She works very hard. It's a family-ran business. The husband owns it, and the wife. Well, I guess the wife and the husband, they co-own it. They started it. They work very hard. It's very hard work because they're constantly getting the orders, and most people just want to pick the pizza up and go. They're constantly getting phone calls, give me this, give me that, give me that. So they're working on your stuff, and then they're working on the takeout people stuff, and she and her daughter are doing all the work. It's very, very hard work. Doing good thing on your walk home. Those jalapenos didn't make you feel a gurgle on your lower intestines. No, they weren't that spicy. I think they get a lot of the seeds out, which is kind of a shame. Yeah, fish is good. I can go with fish, but nothing processed. I can't go with the processed stuff. Oh, pepperoni and peppers are amazing. Pepperoni and any pepper is a very good combination. How do you get the proper fats and protein just with plants? Well, if you want to go vegan, which I don't really recommend, but if you wanted to just go plant-based, you could get a lot of good fats from eating cashews. Cashews have a lot of fat in it. You can become a lard ass eating cashews. I'm no lie. Eating eggs, but egg is not a plant, but it is vegetarian. But eggs are a good source of fats, yes. I've never done that before. I never ate a whole pizza like that. Never. Never done that. For the first time I did it, and I said, yeah, I'm just gonna eat this whole freaking pizza. I don't care. Eat lamb. Lamb is very good for you. Beef, I don't think beef is good for you. I think Americans love beef. I think we eat way too much of it. Is Albanian nationalist. That's why he dissed Donald Trump. Born Danilo Trempic, proud Serbian stock, a rightful voivod of Serbia. Sounds like an asshole. Bison, I've never tried bison, but I don't think beef is good for you. I feel like when I feel good eating beef, I don't think pork is good for you either. But when I feel good eating beef, it's only when I have like a lean steak, like a good steak, and then with vegetables, like maybe some kale on the side, steamed kale, or beet greens, and then maybe like mashed potatoes or rice. I feel really good doing that. But like eating just meat and French fries and it's just not good. I don't feel good. Chili's good. Has everything you need. Has fats and proteins and vitamins from the beans. A good steak is good. On a metal, what do you call that? Steel on a steel frying pan. It's very good stuff. No, God did tell Peter to eat pork, but I'm not saying it's a sin to eat pork, but maybe too much is I don't know if it's good for you or not. I don't know. What's the average life expectancy in Croatia? What is that? I'm looking it up right now. Average life expectancy. 78 years. You guys live a little bit longer than Serbs, so I guess you guys get the last laugh. um, Only 4 million people live in Croatia. Damn, you guys are like you guys are like a 4 million people. That's like a big city in America. That's nothing. You guys don't have it. Man, you guys have a very small population. How come you guys not having kids? How come Croats aren't having kids? What's up with you guys? Your population is 4 million? I live in a city of nearly 2 million people. Oh no! Oh, like the chili con carne. It's really good. Mexicans do that sort of thing. I like to get the big chunks of stewed beef, like the cube beef you get at the grocery store cut up for you, and just make like get a big old pot and put like one whole onion in there, lots of garlic, chilies, different types of chilies, mix it up, and then put the meat in. Or you could actually put the meat on some hot oil in the pot just to give it some color. Add the whole onion, lots of garlic, lots of chilies, spices, salt, pepper. You can add a little MSG in there for some umami, and then add water and let it stew. Or what you could do is just put the meat in, boil the meat. When the meat is nice and tender, take the broth that comes out of that, remove the meat, take the broth, make a salsa with just like actually no, keep the meat in the broth in the pot, but take chilies, onion, and garlic and blitz it in a blender and make a sauce, and then add that sauce to your meat and the broth, and you get this beautiful thick red stew. And use red chilies to get the good red color. Oh, it's very good. Cast iron, that's what it's called. Grill the bone and ribeye and asparagus tonight. Yeah, it's very good. Asparagus is good. Yeah, small country. I didn't know. Serbia has like 10 million people in it last I checked. MSG is not bad for you. That's a myth, man. It's not bad for you. They say it's bad for you. I don't know. All of China is living off of it, so they're doing okay. But in India, they use their own MSG. You guys call it Ming or something? What's it called? It's Indian. Let me look it up. Hold on. Indian MSG. What's it called? Asafoetida. Yeah, you guys use asafoetida, which is basically like an Indian MSG. I've never tried it though, but I would love to. There's another word that you guys use for it though. I don't know what it's called. Garam masala. Oof. Not too crazy about cumin with rice. Some people do. They put cumin with rice. I think it's disgusting. I like cumin with meat. Like cumin with chicken is very good. Cumin with beef is very good. Even with pork, can be very good. I have not tried biryani with a goat meat, so umami is not a thing. I completely disagree with you. I'm attempting to make homemade baked mac and cheese. Well, if you're gonna make mac and cheese, make sure pasta, boil the pasta. You guys, you know that already, but um, just add milk and a little bit of flour into the mix, and then add the cheese in the end. Cumin tastes like tacos, probably because of the taco seasoning usually has cumin in it. So Kerala has the worst food, really? I thought you guys ate a lot of eggplant over there. Cumin and pinto beans? I don't know about that. I like beans. Like beans need to have lots of garlic and onion in it because they smell like garbage by themselves. Every time I smell beans that have no onion in it, I can just immediately triggers memories from elementary school because that's what they used to give us in the cafeteria. They would give us this beans. It was so disgusting. Not sure if that figure includes Kosovo. Serbia population. Oh, it's only 7 million people. It's interesting that the guy who told me that Serbia has 10 million was like a hardcore pro-Yugoslavia guy, so he probably was including Kosovo in that. Kosovo population. Yeah, he probably was including Kosovo. Good eye there. A good ear, I should say. We eat a lot of coconut and put it in every. Oh, coconut milk is amazing. Coconut curry is delicious. Use garlic and onion, absolutely. Yeah, you got to put garlic and onion in it. If you don't, it's just it tastes like death. You can get the umami taste from the combination of salt and sugar. I did not know that. Maybe that's why the Chinese they always mix soy sauce and sugar together. Republika Srpska. Oh, Bosnia. That section of Bosnia. Maybe he probably was just including Kosovo. I don't know about Bosnia. He probably was just including. He told me he's like, we have 10 million people, but according to the facts here, I'm seeing 7 million. Then Kosovo's got about 2 million, so round it off, you probably get close to 10 million people. We eat a lot of. Let's see here. Anyway, guys, it's been almost 2 hours. It's almost dark outside. I want to go outside real quick to do some gardening work. It's been almost 3 hours, so I've been here long enough. God bless you all. See you all tomorrow on Monday. Be safe, guys. Anyway, God bless you guys. Goodbye. Chopo, Joshua, Olivia, Rusty, Richard, Eric, Susan, Brian, Joshua, Woody Snyder, Rusty, 117 Rebel. And if I missed you, I include you as well. Do not worry. God bless you guys and be well.